we now take those people from I just met you to converting them into an actual lead with an email and all of that. There's things missing in the system if we just post on social media and don't have anything behind it.
This is Get Unstuck Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who prioritize their life first, business second. I'm Mutita Panmuk, your host, who dedicates my life to designing and building a business that supports lifestyle. We will learn together from entrepreneurs around the world how they overcome their life challenges, their business obstacles, and yet still get unstuck from the hamster wheel of burying themselves into their business. Because time is the number one commodity in the world that you cannot get back once it's gone. So let's shorten the learning curve and see how can we prioritize better. Let's get unstuck. Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. Today, my guest is we we are excited to share this story. So we come back to our jam about system and operation and automation again. So please welcome Dr. Raymona Lawrence here with us today in Get Unstuck Radio. She is a founder of iEngageU, a speaker, coach, and consultant, which her life work is she has a mission that she would like to help individuals and organizations to incorporate diversity and building the teams by building software that called iEngageU, which we will cover about that a little bit shortly, that solve the problem that we all business owners have. Right? Like when you recruit someone and you find like, okay, it's not coming together just yet. How can you find team members easier? And how can you connect the dot better when you assign the tasks and also keep the workflow together and keep all the back ends together intact? So please welcome Dr. Raymona here to Get Unstuck Radio today and share her knowledge and expertise today. Hi, Dr. Raymona.
Hi, Mutita. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on your podcast and to share with your audience. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm so excited because like I speaking to you offline, I was like, wow, this podcast is gonna be a golden one.
Okay, awesome.
So please share with me before we start a little bit how you started your entrepreneurial journey though.
Yeah, so I'm a person that is really passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and so I love to tell people my lens. So people will say, "Introduce yourself," and I like to say, "Well, here's what my lens is. My lens is my background. It's how I see the world. The way that I see the world. It shapes why I do things, and so a little bit about my lens. I'm an African American female from the rural deep South. All right, I was raised in South Georgia, United States, and I was raised. I always say at the corner of black and blue, because I am an African American female, but my dad was the chief of police in the city, and so I got those perspectives. And so even though I had this marginalized identity as a Black woman, I also had privilege because I could walk into a police department and say, "Hey, just buzz me back." Right. And I realized that not everybody has that experience. And so being at those intersections of female, Black, blue, all of that, it really brought me to a space where I understood diversity, equity, and inclusion from that lens. But I also have a doctorate in public health. And so I learned about social justice and health disparities and health inequities and all of that in my training, my formal training and my education. So I also had that lens. And then I moved into business and I started my very first business was in network marketing. So when I came in, they said, everybody can do this business. Everybody can get to the top. Anybody with skin and hair can do this business. But when I looked at the top of the company, I did not see people with skin and hair like mine. And that I was like, wait a minute. But if anybody can do this in the 40 years that this company has been around, you can't tell me that there's no African American female who has worked hard enough to get to the top of this company. So that combination of being in that business and having that doctorate in public health, and also being at the corner of black and blue as I was raised in the deep South, it all kind of came together at an intersection to where now I am who I am. I really look at things through this diversity, equity, and inclusion lens. I think in systems, and I think, why does this work this way and how does it fit in the bigger picture? And I absolutely love the breadth and depth of human difference and human experience. And so that all came together to make me really have that lens of how do we look at systems, whether they be DEI systems, whether they be business back end systems. How do we look at those things and fix the breaks? And that makes life better for everybody. So that's how I got here.
Mm. Why you interested in the system and operation? Because other people may say that it's kind of boring things, but what interested for you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think I've really done the work to understand my brilliance, right? And so the hard work and thinking about what is it that I've always really been drawn to. And even in high school, I was really great at geometry and thinking about theoretical, concepts and all these different types of things and just putting things together. And when I look at systems, when I look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, I realize that it's not just this one piece that needs to be fixed. We often focus on one thing, right? But when we really look at what is the bigger picture of things, we realize that the system does a lot of things to the individual, right? And so we've got to look at the bigger picture, because if we look at these individual things, even if it's in business systems, if we just say, okay, I want more leads, but we're not looking at how we market to those people, how we now take those people from I just met you to converting them into an actual lead with an email and all of that. There's things missing in the system. If we just post on social media and don't have anything behind it, we're missing something in the system. So a lot of people think in those individual pieces of things, and it never ever works. And so with me, I'm able to think and kind of connect the dots. And so that's what got me interested. It wasn't even the training that I have or anything like that. It's a natural uh, gift that I've had since I was little. I always wanted to connect the dots between things. And so that's kind of how I got to where I am.
Yeah. Do you think everyone actually already working in operation, but they just like don't know themselves that they already like working in that?
I think that we all have a place. I wouldn't say that everybody's already working, because some people actively don't want to work, right? They actively do not want to give up the systems that keep themselves in power. I do feel like, though, that everybody has a place in getting rid of, or at least mitigating, oppression. I think that one thing that we have to remember is that we have to choose our disruption. And that's what I always say to people. People think that when I talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, I want them to get out on the road with a sign and protest. That's not what everybody's thing is, all right? So if that's your thing, yes, that's your level of disruption to the system. But if that's not your thing, then you can just discover your own lens first, right? Discover why you're thinking the way that you are. Start to question why you do and say the things that you do. And so there's levels to it. And so we're not all, Martin Luther King or doing these great, great works, but we all have something to do. Yeah.
So at the very beginning, like before even recruiting helps or any assistant, what do you think a business owner should do first?
So I mean, when I talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, I always talk about the personal work, right? And so you can't put on your DEI hat at work and then take it off at home. People know the difference, right? So you have to think about, who do you want to recruit and why do you want to recruit them? That's number one. Because a lot of times we think about this idea of the ideal client and we say, this is the person that I want. How do they fit within the culture of my organization? And when we think about culture fit and we think about these idea of ideal client, we bring in a lot of bias because we're like, this person kind of looks like me. They have my personality. They are a fit, and we get rid of the diversity and all of the different things that are so important for really making a business work. So when we think about culture add versus culture fit, we think about, how is a diverse person going to be a little different than me, right? And how are they going to add to the culture that I have for my business? Even if you're a solopreneur, you have a culture in your business. And you need to think about, how is a VA going to add to that? How is this person that you have as your copywriter? All of those people are contributing to the culture. And so it's an ad, and those people are going to be a little different than you. They're going to think a little bit different than you. But if you are biased and you're saying, this is the one person that I want, then you often are cutting great people out. So I have the concept of the thriving community versus the ideal client. And so what's the difference in that? The thriving community is, if you close your eyes and you imagine the perfect place, the perfect community, most people are not going to think about all white people or all white men. They're not going to think about all Black women. They're going to think about a lot of different types of people. They're going to think about different sizes, shapes, and all of that. And so that's what I try to get people to think about, is like, what is your thriving community look like versus your one ideal client? And yes, we have to kind of think of our ideal client when we're messaging. We want to talk to that person. We always say those types of things. But then if we get a person that doesn't look exactly like that, doesn't talk exactly like that, doesn't think exactly like that, we need to think about, what is the culture ad that they have that's going to make my thriving community, so that I'm not cutting people out when I'm trying to recruit.
So, and how can we know what works and what doesn't work then when we add more?
I think that some of it is you're going to have to try it with anybody, right? So when I think that you have to set a certain amount of values. What is your value for your company? If your value is inclusion and you have somebody who is coming and they're very, much not inclusive, they don't think like that, then clearly, that might not work for you. But if you're like, my ideal client is a white woman who's 25 years old, has long blonde hair, blue eyes, that type of thing keeps you super, super stuck. And we're often told, even put a picture of her up, and all of that. And so that's great. But once you bring that person in, you still need to look at, okay, here's how this person aligns with the value that we have. Here's how they're a little bit different than me, but here's what they add. And so you're looking at, are they adding? How are they adding? Even though it's not just like me, what are they adding to the culture or the business? And are they, there's some things that you're just gonna say, can they actually do the copywriting? Can they actually do the job? That's something that's important. But when I talk to people about interviewing, I tell them, check me, check we, now question them. So what does that mean? Check me. I need to check my internal biases and what I am thinking when I'm interviewing this person. Check we. If we are interviewing together, we need to say, hey, we got to be honest with each other. And we got to say, I'm kind of biased towards people who are more energetic. I'm kind of biased towards these types of people, right? We've got to be honest about that. As a team, what do we need to unlearn about people? Okay. The question part is think about the questions that you're asking. Now, sometimes when we're asking questions, we say you need 15 years of experience and all of this, we say all of these things that you need, but we don't realize that sometimes certain people have not been given the opportunity to get that experience, right? So, do we have a growth mindset where we can grow with the individual? They have great potential, they have all of these other things, but maybe they not haven't had as long of an experience or as extensive of experience as this other person in a majority race or ethnicity, right? So we look at our questions. Are we screening people out versus screening them in? Right. So how am I working to screen people in with this growth mindset where I'm saying I want to bring in diversity, but I've got to think about how do we grow together versus me just automatically screening you out because you're not fitting the mold. Okay. And then question them. That's the piece where you got to evaluate the candidate. Do they know how to do the job? If they don't know how to do the job, then it's okay. You sometimes you got to say no. You're not going to just hire people just because they're diverse. They do have to have the skill set. So check me, check we, and then your questions, and then check them. And so when you use that formula, then you're able to have more inclusive interviewing.
Wow. So have a value clear and then investigate and also
Mm-hmm.
knowing your bias.
Mm-hmm.
Have that clear as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Screening in, not screening out. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So once recruit though, how many from your experience, how many how to say that? How many level wait, I just cannot get the word right now.
Mm-hmm.
How many layers of recruitment? Like normally I see like three step of recruitment or something like how normally you do.
So, you saying like as far as bringing people in, like 3 levels of interviewing to do
Yeah,
with
like
them?
screening and also like first interview, like second
Uh-huh.
interview, and also like recruiting interview finalized or something like
Yeah,
what
I
would you
think
say?
Yeah, I think it depends on the job. I often
Mm.
will do the first level of screening and I'll look at somebody's resume. I will, see I will try to screen them in and say, here's the experience that they have. It may not have this exact thing, but how screen them in versus automatically screening them out. Okay, so once you do that, then you come in and I do an initial line of questioning. Then I want you to do something for me to show me that you're able to do the job. So I would say 3, because I'm going to talk to you and then I want to see what you do. If I can work with that and we're able to grow, you may not be at absolute perfection, right? It's okay, because part of that is me being a leader. Can I lead you to grow? You're not just coming here, and that's what I want people to understand, is that when they're coming into a position, it's not just that they're coming to serve the person. The job needs to do something for them too. And so we think about, when we're inclusive, there's bi-directional communication happening. There's bi-directional exchange. It's not that you're just coming and you're benefiting them. How do they benefit you? And so, that's kind of my thought process with that, is that, yes, I have the initial screening. I want to talk to you, and then I want to see what you're able to do. And so they perform some sort of task for me, if it's building a website or if it's building a funnel, or if I want a person to do, I had someone to come in and I need them to do the orientation for my platform. So I need for you to talk me through something, like I'm pretending to be a customer and I need you to tell me how to do it. Right. So those types of things. And then if you're not perfect at it, it's okay, because I know what to do. I'll teach you. But you got to have some potential. So, yeah.
And okay, you mentioned about orientation and how you onboarding the team members then. Is there any difference between onboarding team members and onboarding new clients in your opinion?
I think you go through the same process. But of course, onboarding a team member, they need to know the back end systems. They need to know where they fit in the culture ad. They need to know exactly how I work and how to communicate with me. A person that's using the system, they need to know how to communicate with us. They need to know how to use the system, all of those types of things. And so it's a little bit different, but I think there's a process that I use, and it's called Never Lose a Customer Again. And it's Joel, I think Joey Coleman. I can't remember exactly what his name is, but I use that process. And so he talks about the fact that, when you bring somebody on, they have buyer's remorse, right? They're like that, no matter what happens, they're gonna have this type of remorse because they're like, you're in the process of, oh, I'm excited, I got this customer coming on, and we're ready to get them going. Now let me get all this paperwork together. And while you're doing the paperwork, they're overthinking it, right? So you have to do something that gets them excited about their purchase or about the fact that they came onto the team. So what is it that's unique that you do that says, hey, you made the right decision, right? So then you take them through steps where, okay, I'm helping you to understand that you did make the right decision. I'm also helping you to understand the process that you go through, those technical types of steps. And then I am getting to the point where I am trying to make you a raving fan, where you bring on other people and you are excited to get other people into the system, right? And so it's that type of process. And if you all look that up, I can find his name. I think it's Joey Coleman, Joel or Joey. And so he uses those steps, and he has a book that's Never Lose an Employee and Never Lose a Customer Again. Two different books, same steps, but a little bit different nuance within those steps for employees versus customers. And so that, I think, is just an amazing process to go through, because we have to remember that orientation is different than onboarding. Onboarding is a process. It's 9 to 12 months. It's definitely a big thing in the first 100 days. And that's what he talks about. So when you go into onboarding, you're helping that person see where they fit into the culture. You're helping them to, you're looking at what makes them tick, what makes them really enjoy being in your environment, right? And so those things take time. It's not just orientation, like, let me show you how to do the job, and then you get to it and move on. Orientation versus onboarding is important. And so we often recruit for diversity, but we onboard for conformity.
Mm.
So we've got to get to that point where we're like, okay, what are the things that are unique about you? What do I need to show you that fit your personality? So then we're onboarding for inclusion versus conformity. Okay. And so we tell people, we want this diverse team. We want all these people. But then when we onboard and we're like, this is how you do it. This is what you do next. This is what you do next. So we have to move beyond conformity and move to inclusion as we onboard people as well.
That's how you include them
Mhm.
into the team.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
so powerful. Do you have any probation period though?
I don't have a formal probation period, because and that's probably one of my weaknesses as a boss. I give people a lot of chances.
Just curious. Yeah, that's why. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
confused.
but I
Sorry.
mean, some people have super formal ones like 90 days, in businesses that I've seen, but I don't do that. I usually, I give people a lot of grace because I really do want people to win. And so, but after so many times, then I'm not saying you're fired, but I'm saying your experience and your skill set might be better used somewhere else, right? Because it's just not
I
working.
did the same thing. Okay, I have friends now. Yeah, I literally just spoke with someone. Yeah, I think I got an interview with like some previous clients, and I just told them this is how I fired team members. I told them that it's my fault that I recruit them into my team. You
It's
better
not you, it's me.
recruit it. Yeah, it's not you, it's me. Exactly. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. See, when you recruit someone because you want to see them win, that is totally recruiting for opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when I recruit you, I see potential in you. So if I'm just like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, I'm letting you go, then that's an issue. And I was on a call, a training, and the person was really challenging us. And she does systems as well. And she said, well, you're telling a person that they're not doing what you're supposed to do, but do you have a system? Do you have a policy? Do you have an SOP for that? So you're assuming that they know what you want them to do, but you never truly train them. So I'm always looking at that self-reflection and saying, well, did I really give them the instructions? Or am I just expecting them to do this exactly like I would? Again, not being inclusive, saying you gotta be me. And that's the issue, is that we're always saying you gotta be me. So if I'm a professor, right? So it's kind of hard for you to write the way I write because I practice writing. I've written and edited many dissertations, right? So for me, and I have to check myself on this, because for me to tell somebody that they have to write like I do when I publish papers in scientific journals, right? It's not even fair. And so that's the thing, is that I have to think about, okay, well, am I giving them a chance? Like, this is good enough. Yes, I want to operate with excellence, but how do I teach them either to operate in excellence like I do my dissertation writers, or do I say, okay, this 90% of what I would have done is okay. I'm not writing dissertations constantly. And so I think that's what happens with us, is that we have great experience often, and we expect another person to come in with that same exact experience, but we don't train them, and we automatically assume. And so here's a really easy example of this. Our policy is dress professional.
Sorry,
So
can you say that again?
our policy, let's say our policy is just dress professionally,
Oh,
like
okay,
when you
okay.
come in, okay, or when you're
Okay.
on a Zoom, right? So you have younger people that are gonna come in and they have just their hoodie. So you're like, a hoodie? You know that's not professional. Da, 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 and you're just going off, but you never told them what dress professionally looks like, or what it is. We assume people just know everything and that everybody's definition is the same. And so I tell people, they are often telling me these people aren't engaged. And I said, did you define engagement? What does that mean? What does it look like to both of you to be engaged? Because you're giving them a metric that you never told them the standards for. So you're saying, I don't see that it looks like what I think it should look like. And they're saying, I'm doing what I thought it looked like. And we're constantly clashing because we don't have the same definitions. So we need to clearly define what things we want look like, so that everybody's on the same page. And then when they're not meeting the metric, you can say, we agreed on this and you're still not meeting it. But don't use terms that are sexy terms like engagement, and then they don't meet it, and then you say they didn't engage, because who knows what that means.
Do you have like a terminology, like definitions?
Of some things. Yeah, so if I'm wanting my team to like communication, okay, what does that mean? So everybody thinks communication is a different thing. So I need you to talk to me every day. Tell me, what, give me an update, what's happening. Somebody else might say, I just need a touch point once a week, just so you're doing the job. Whatever that is, talk to them and tell them this is exactly what this term means. It means this is what I want to see. This touch point here in Slack, here, whatever it is. And so, yes, something.
Yeah, I have to because I can understand when, like, for example, VSL, like my video editors understand VSL different than my
Yes.
VSL. So
Yes.
mine is video sales later, right?
Yes.
She understand is something about the graphic terms another way, like totally different things. So we have to come into the same understanding when we use
Yes.
abbreviation. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I get what you mean. Let's talk about the software. How you come up with the name I Engage You though?
So the iEngageU is a lowercase I, the word engage, and then the letter U in a capital letter. So I came up with that because I love engagement. The engagement is what I do for work, for my job as a professor. In my research, I am known for engagement. That's exactly what I do. So I love engaging people in their own health, in their own business, in helping to people to feel empowered, all of those things. So that's where the word engage came from. So the I. So it's like I, literally I, but it's also inclusion and inclusive engagement, right? And then the I is lowercase because I am not greater than you, right? So the U is uppercase because it stands for you. You are what's important in this business. It's not about me, it's about you. U also stands for university. So I engage you is like engagement university. How do you make sure that you bring people together? You teach them the skills that they need to engage. You teach them the systems that they need to be able to thrive in their business and in their life. And then you also make that inclusive so that you're thinking about what is unique about you and how you want your business to come together. And so, yeah, it means all of those things, but it's a play on words. And so I engage you. So it literally means I engage YOU. It means inclusive engagement university. It's literally I engage you. So it's that's how I came up with that.
And what is this software is about? Can you walk me through that?
Yes. And so it's basically everything that a business owner could need for the back end of their business. And so it's a CRM. So it has the email that you might need. It has funnels, workflows, websites, link tree. You can follow your customers through a pathway and opportunities, and you don't lose customers. You know where they are. The little board looks like Trello. It can show you the funnels that you have and where people are in those funnels. It has social media management. So you don't have to have a different, social media manager like the Hootsuite or Meet Edgar or all those different things. Of course, it has phone, texting, all the automations that you could possibly need. So it's really, truly, invoicing. It has every single thing a business owner could need in one place. And I really love this system because a lot of people, one, can't financially afford all of these different things. There is a ton of different things that you have to use for the back end of a business normally. And so with this system, it's all in one place. And they can also get the assistance of my team as far as the virtual assistants and copywriting. We help them to develop short form videos or the short videos that they can use on their reels or on YouTube or whatever that is. And so basically, like I said, it's all in one platform, and you can get rid of all of that other stuff that you have and actually follow a system all the way through in one place.
So in case anyone want to like get to know you or follow your work or even taste how it's like using this software, where can they like get to know you then?
Yes, so you can just go to drramonalawrence.com. And with the software, I give a 14-day free trial so they could come onto the software that way. Typically, people would contact me and schedule a call, and then I make sure that they're set up and they have everything that they need, because you have to put your information into the software to be able to use it. And so it's pretty simple. You can hop on a call going through drramonalawrence.com, and that's it. That's all you have to do, and then it's a free trial and easy to use.
Okay, so everyone, in case you're interested to use all-in-one software, so please check it out. All the link will be put in the description below as well as the show notes. So don't forget to check it out. And thank you so much for Dr. Raymona to joining Get Unstuck Radio today.
Thank you.
I hope this episode inspires you wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, so that you can have your business that supports your lifestyle. Get a show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. Review what we have learned together today and start implementing right now. See it by yourself. The result of your consistent action are worth it. You deserve the freedom to enjoy your life. Until the next episode, let's get unstuck.